Of our mid-fest film, The Fixation. It's an English film directed by Mesdes Bryce Morgan, produced by Katrina Kublik, Max Toplin, and Maya Habley. So it's a psychological thriller. It's really beautifully portrayed the psychological trauma and associated, and they have also touched ethical practices of human experimentation. I can say that, no?
Yeah.
So I can briefly give the synopsis, and first we'll have a look at the clip. The official trailer also is not yet released, and it's the film which was premiered in Toronto International Film Festival, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and this is the first international premiere. We are having it IFFI 53rd edition. And I warmly welcome our cast and crew to this table talk session organized by PIB. So yeah, let's have a look at the clip.
Griffin loved taxidermy, right? From my research, Griffin had potential for violent behavior. Don't you ever talk about my brother like that again! Ever! It's okay. We were just talking. That is unacceptable behavior, Dora. Apologize immediately. You're sorry. Say you're sorry. Unless you want to be sent right back to that courtroom and that judge. You have to make a choice now, Dora. Are you going to follow the program or not? Sorry, Dr. Bellamy.
So you have seen a clip of the trailer. It's not actually a trailer, it's a clip from the movie. So it shows breaking of the psyche of a woman. From the trailer, what can I make is that. So can you, as a director, explain why you want to take this? It's a very difficult topic to deal with. That psychology and everything, and it's a first feature film, I guess, for you.
Yes.
So generally directors don't dare to do such a experimental film.
Yeah.
So but you are dared and did it.
Yeah.
So like, what is the motivation, and from where you got this idea to deal with this, to do the first film on psychological thriller
Definitely.
genre? Yeah.
So
Please.
I like psychological thrillers because I like to keep people guessing, the audience, the entire time, and try to lead them through the journey with our characters. And this story is very personal to myself and many other women that I know, in the fact where we've dealt with these things and we don't know what's real and what isn't, and so we start to question ourselves and the people around us, and so we really wanted to put our audience through this. And as for it being experimental and new, it's so great because we had a team that really just trusted in the project so much that everyone said, yes, we want to make this movie that's very unique in this way. And so it took everyone together to be able to do that.
Yeah, I'll just throw the floor open to the questions later. I'll keep it a bit casual with the crew so that they can be more open and they can share the insights more in a casual and informal way. So, and I would like to talk about the background music score. It is so like, it is taking you into a trance. So did you work specifically on that part?
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
so like, and it's not only that, and the photography, the way you take the film, like screenplay to be precise.
Yeah.
So it is so like precise.
Thank
So for a first filmmaker, it is. I think you did the screenplay.
Yeah, we wrote the story together with the writer.
Yeah. So it's like marvelous.
Thank
So, like, did you refer any books or watched any movies or, like, you can share the journey of writing the screenplay and writing about the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can just share, please. You
Definitely.
both, you can.
Yeah, for sure. So when we came up with the story together, we really love psychological thrillers, and obviously we're hardcore movie lovers, and so we wanted to take something and see how much we could twist it on its head and keep going again and again and again. And is there anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I think that we were both like very, very interested in small town dynamics or dynamics where a character feels very isolated, especially surrounded by people that they love. And so we wanted to put that in the most extreme context, which is what this film becomes.
Yeah, and really see how we can make the mind a space in a literal sense.
Yes.
And as for the music, our composer Michelle Osis is amazing, and so we wanted to take something where it felt like you're in this space that's separate from reality, because that's how Dora feels the entire time. And as for the cinematography, drew from a lot of different art in different movies. I always like to break down projects very concisely, and so I had many, many months of putting it together and crafting of what it looked like before we filmed.
And I would like to take the experience of our producers, because generally experimental films are very difficult to be produced or to be released or so. And no one dares generally, because it is not so, what do you call, profitable, you can say.
Yeah.
But you have done, I think, invested in such a wonderful film.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, I think, here's the key with this film is that, yes, it is experimental in some ways, but at the same time, this is a very kind of commercial mass market film. I think, there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of visual stimulation, there's a lot of kind of audio stimulation. There's great performances that just you can't look away from. So I feel like, yes, some of the subject matter might be a little bit experimental, but it's important to, have these experiments on the high end where it looks beautiful, sounds beautiful, and feels like a great mass market film that you can take something from. So I think it's a nice blend. Experimental, yes, but really, it's a mass market Hollywood blockbuster, and I'm going to keep saying that.
And that's how we get it made.
Yeah, that's how we get it made.
So, and the crew contains, I think, from 3 different countries: Canada, US, and Germany. So it's like a multinational collaboration. How do you feel like? How do you collaborate all the 3 teams from different countries with three different cultures? You can say. So I think it's a.
It's interesting because, yes, it is technically a trilateral co-production. It's Canada, USA, Germany. That said, the actual crew that we worked with, there's people from all over the world in our crew, which was really lovely. Our composers from Australia. There's all sorts of, great people involved from all over the world. But we shot the film in Canada. It's directed, obviously, by an American, written by all Americans, acted by mostly Americans, but we're a Canadian company shooting in Canada, utilizing everything Canada has to offer using German money. So it's, kind of a nice collaborative friendship between all of us, but it is not just Canada, USA, Germany. We've got people from all over the world working on this, including, we did all of our VFX in the Philippines. So it's, adding in yet another country to kind of collaborate and work with.
Do you have any connection with India too?
We got a quote from India on our VFX, and it was too high, so we went to the Philippines. That's our connection. And lovely Maya Heble over here as well is Indian-Canadian, who's one of our producers. And so I'll let...
Connection to India.
Yeah.
That's a major connection. And regarding the film is like we're watching a play, like on a stage, and few parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Like when she is in the house, like she's locked in a small house, like doll house or so, and following sequences. I mean, do you have any prior experience in stage writing or anything like that?
Yeah, so not stage writing directly, but we wanted to make all the sets to feel like we're in this fabricated place. And so you feel very locked in it with her. I think we have about 7 different sets. And so we crafted it in this 6-story abandoned warehouse hospital. And so that way we were able to actually make the world ourselves.
Yeah, please. You can ask.
And what we wanted to do is, instead of, what it's really inspired from is Dora's childhood and life. And so we're seeing how all these things came from her past, and now they're being realized in new ways around her. And so all the taxidermy and the animals are all from that. Yeah.
So Sigmund Freud has a lot of influence on you, it seems,
Yes.
and at the same time Carl Jung.
Yeah.
So can you like explain
Definitely.
that how?
So her name is Dora because that's actually a famous patient of Sigmund Freud's. And so a lot of people have a lot of different conflicting thoughts about Dora, and if Dora was right or if Freud was right. And so that's a case that people have a lot of dispute over of, was she treated justly or was he using her and experimenting on her?
So, do you think human experimentation is ethical?
Great question. I think it isn't if people don't give consent. And so that's what we're really looking at is if something helps someone but they're not consenting to it, how does that put them through this in a really extreme way?
Anyone from the audience, please ask.
I feel like you've got 6 more.
Any from the audience?
No, I'm talking about right in front. Yes, you. Yeah.
Please, you, please ask.
You're good?
So, sir, anyone from the audience? I'm throwing open the floor to questions formally. Anyone can ask.
Collaboration. Still, style is very much European.
Yes,
Experimental European style.
definitely. Yeah.
ठीक है मेरा आवाज आती है
Yeah.
Next one. Okay, gotcha. I just state that though this is a tri-nation co-production, still it is very much influenced by European style.
Yeah, definitely European and also Korean movies as well.
Korean.
Yeah, and because you don't see surrealism in American movies a lot,
No.
and so that's something that we wanted to bring to this because American movies are either set in reality or fantasy, or there's one element, whereas surreal, you see things and the characters kind of accept them, and it kind of blends with their minds. And so even though it's a psychological thriller, it's what makes this more unique in its own way.
Why I thought of Alfred Hitchcock because his film Spellbound.
Yeah, definitely.
It is also this surreal element.
Yeah, we want to bring that even more so. Yeah.
So terrific.
I think also, another interesting element is Mercedes has, she's worked a lot in the music video space, which I feel really kind of added a flow to the movie, where there were transitions musically that keep people engaged while we deal with this great drama, but nothing ever gets stale or tired because she's constantly moving. And I think it's something that you learned, working in short form music videos.
Definitely. And what's so, yeah.
There is sort of editing. In some scenes, there is for a split second to change the light also.
Yes, yeah. That's a style I love to bring into things. What's really funny is I've done a lot of marshmallow videos, which has a big fan base in India, but those all tell stories with a character into it. And so that's how we were able to bring that into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One other little element I will say, our cinematographer is Israeli originally, and so I think also, he's got a very kind of international mindset when it comes to, what he wants to portray
He's
visually.
staying in America.
He lives in America, but he's originally from Israel, and I think he's very kind of like globally conscious with his cinematography.
Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that might be what you're feeling in there too. He's not American. That's what you're feeling.
Yes.
Not American, yes.
Can I know about the casting director, because I found Dr.
Clark.
Clark is so
He's great.
intimidating.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's the one who can do justice. I felt that.
Yeah.
To that character. Can you even Dr. Melanie,
Yeah.
please?
Yeah, so our casting director, John Buchan and Jason Knight in Toronto, many of our 2 leads, let's say, so Maddie and Genesis, those were pre-cast. We worked directly with, the agency in the US to kind of cast them. Whereas some of these other characters where we went Canadian, such as Dr. Clark, we looked pretty long and hard, but when we saw Stephen McCaddy,
He's wild.
we all just kind of knew, it's.
Same with Atticus
Same with Atticus Mitchell. His tape just blew us away, and we were so impressed with him. And it was the same. He came from our casting directors in Canada, and he's amazing.
Yeah.
He's
And
great.
a pleasure to work with, it's great to have good people when it's such a hard shoot. It was very cold. We shot in northern Canada, very far north, very cold, very depressing. And so,
So when people stay kind,
Yeah. You can see your
Good luck.
actor's breath on the screen in some scenes.
Yeah.
it adds to the surrealness.
Yeah.
yeah, this location in which we shot was an abandoned hospital that had no electricity and no running water. So just imagine the difficulty of shooting all of the high intensity scenes with these amazing sets, really difficult performances. Imagine that. And they're freezing, and the food won't stay warm. Like everything was hard, but as you can see, it all came together, and it was worth it.
Makes it easier for them to cry.
Yes, makes it easier to cry for all of us.
While choosing the lead role, I mean, did you because you have selected her because of her previous works, or like?
Katrina, if you want to speak to this.
Yeah, actually, we got a bunch of different recommendations from the agency UTA that we were working with, which was amazing to have them as a collaborator. But we came across Maddie's work, and she actually submitted a tape for us, and all of us, I think that we all called each other saying, I think we all just cried
Yeah.
to
We
that
felt
tape.
goosebumps,
It was 3 minutes, and we were absolutely blown away. And after that, we couldn't even imagine looking
Yeah.
at another actor. I couldn't even look at IMDb.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mercedes, hi Mercedes.
Hi.
Congratulations for the film.
Thank you.
And when you look at the film today, if you were supposed to change anything, what would that be?
Oh, great question. Yeah, I mean, I've seen this movie 500 times. I think if I were to change anything today, it would only be to. I love the movie as it is. It would just be to even be able to make even bigger sets. Because it's always time and money, right? But our sets are incredible. And I can't imagine any other way. But it's just, I know as we make our careers, we're just going to keep.
Go bigger.
Go bigger.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
She's basically saying, imagine this, but with more millions of dollars.
Yes.
Maya, a lot of filmmakers must be approaching you with their films and with their projects. So what made you decide on Fixation and why?
Max and I, we both work at 4AM Films, the production company, and we had worked with the screenplay writer William Day Frank before. And so he brought this to us and really had said Mercedes is absolutely amazing. And we had seen some of Mercedes' work before, and we just thought, she's absolutely incredible. So this was something that we really felt that, this I mean, I think it speaks for itself when you see it, but we thought it was very, it was going to be something very special. So, yeah.
And it was. Yeah. It's crazy. And it's, for the script, it was difficult. I know, like, when you first read the script, you really, really, really loved it. I had a hard time with it because I was like, how is this going to cut? How is this actually going to come together? Because it's very, on the page, it could come across as almost disjointed or ambiguous or confusing. And then you get inside her head and you're like, oh, hold on, no, all of this makes sense. But you don't really see that on the page unless you know how her brain works. So it's like a lot of that is faith with looking at her previous work and saying, okay, she does understand what she's doing. But like it was a gamble, and thank goodness for the work ethic and for like her actually coming through, because this was a hard film to make, as you can tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you want to send it to Oscars?
Yeah, we're gonna win one. We're gonna win one. Best feature, best film, best drama. Yeah. Thank you.
Are you going to bring us there?
Do you know anyone? Yeah.
Yeah.
I would like to, if you receive this any award.
Yeah, you get a piece of it.
Is it your first time in India?
Yeah, it's all three of our first time.
Yeah.
Max has been.
Us three.
Yeah. Yes.
And Max, you had a previous film in India?
4AM Films, we've been developing a film here for 4.5, 5 years in Punjab and kind of, up north generally. So we are hoping that we'll be able to shoot that here in India, hopefully in the next year or so. But it's a big film, big journey film, very expensive to make, and really quite an important film that we're excited to come back to the country and actually make.
Thank you.
Thank you.
From what we have about the production and everything, so independent production is a bit difficult when compared to big studio productions and everything. And when they choose the stories also, I think, is there any discrimination or anything? And can you explain that?
Yeah, and I just want to make sure I understand the question. So, like, independent film is incredibly difficult, yes. And I think that a lot of independent film is trying to really understand what you can market, what you can sell as an independent producer to those distributors that you want to be working with. So a lot of it is, yes, a guessing game of what you think they're going to want to see. But at the same time, you really have to put that away and say, no, what they're looking for, they don't even know what they're looking for. They're looking for something special. How do you get something special? And I think how you get something special is you tell a really important story with grit and power and integrity. And even if it's a little weird and different, you can find your audience as long as it's truthful, you know? And so this film is very truthful. It's got, you know, there's a lot of faults I'm sure that we have, but one thing that it is very, very truthful. So that's, I feel, what the studios and what, you know, the big distributors, that's what they're looking for. They just might not necessarily know it until they see it. But that's the hardship of an independent producer is, well, we got to figure out how to raise the money and, you know, convince other people that this is a movie worth making. And luckily we've got great partners. So, yeah.
So you said that the movie is so truthful. So is it based on any true events or any true experiences from any of your lives or any of your, like, neighbors or anyone's? Yeah.
Definitely. So we can both speak about this.
Definitely.
Yeah. But I grew up in a very small town, and so did Katrina. We grew up in very isolated places, and so when you have that happen, you only know so many people, and so someone can tell you something's true, and you don't know whether that's true or false because you have no one else to talk to about it, and so you kind of become stuck in this own plane of reality in and of itself.
Yeah.
And so when we talk to other people, we realize that they had the same experiences.
Totally. And on top of that, too, it's the idea that when you're just surrounded by your family or even medical professionals, in the case of Dora, these are the people that you're supposed to trust the most and that want to help you. And so it's riding that line between a dynamic where people do genuinely want to help you. Dr. Clark does genuinely want to help Dora in some way, but the way that he goes about it is what is not okay.
Yeah.
And so it's riding that fine line. And then I think that also just a lot of women will relate to the movie. A lot of people have come up to all of us, I think. Our entire crew actually said that was one of the reasons it was so important to them and why they all came and stayed in the cold with all the breath because it was really an important film for them to make as individuals too.
Yeah.
You know.
So Dr. Melanie really helping her or? So I just have one question, like, really Dr. Melanie really helping her or not in the film?
What do you think?
That's exactly why I'm so much like I couldn't make it, whether it is what it is.
Yeah. I think everyone defines help differently, right? You can, if you do something out of love, but someone doesn't interpret it as love, you think you're helping them, but they might not think that. So I think if you're Dr. Melanie, you think you're helping, but it depends who you are.
He wants us to get confused.
It's because humans are complicated. Yeah.
Well, if it was Hollywood, it would have been part 2.
Oh, yeah. What would happen in part 2? Oh, yeah. I mean, we have another ending that is not released.
That's true, yeah. There's a really top secret, exciting ending that we cut. But who knows? The distributor may want to bring it back eventually, so that would leave open a sequel. So we'll see.
Part 2.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Part 2. Yeah.
So you named the film as Fixation. So why it can't be freedom? So at the end, from my point of view, like, she was freed. So why it's like fixation is like you're fixing.
Yes.
But from my point of view, it is like freedom. She got freed from what she was experiencing. Like, as in, does it have any specific connotation why you have used fixation?
Yeah, definitely. Also, I think that's beautiful. The reason why we named it Fixation is because every character is fixating in a different way. So Dora is fixating on her past. Melanie fixates because of her OCD, and Dr. Clark is fixating on Dora. And so every character interprets that in their own way. And that's why I answered the question of, does Dr. Melanie think she's helping or is she? Is because every character has a different perspective on the situation.
Anyone want to add some questions? Yeah, that's I think the past.
Oh, wait, what was the question?
Dora's,
Oh, Dora's, yes.
Dora's fixation about her brother.
Oh, yes, fixation about her brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so she's stuck in this one part of her life. And so her mind keeps interpreting it different ways about what happened and how did it go down. And so that's why we examine it in all these different ways in the movie.
That stitching of that body scene was.
Yeah.
Bloody.
Yes.
And you have talked about gaslighting in the film. So I think that happens in every day-to-day life to most of the people, especially women maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So have you got the gaslighting concept from the old gaslighting movie in which Ingrid Bergman has played? Or
Yeah.
I mean, do you have any link with the characterization or
You want to
anything?
speak to gaslighting?
To
Yeah.
gaslighting in general?
Yeah. And yes, the Ingmar Bergman movie, Gaslighting, we did
Yes.
pull from in reference.
Yeah, we love that movie.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many different references because this is something that is so timeless. I think that sometimes we think that a concept is new because we suddenly have words or there's more publication and talk about it, which is great because that's how we have conversations like this, and it can become clearer to anyone who may be in an isolated environment like someone like Dora, and they might be able to talk about their experience, which is one of the hopes with filmmaking in general. But I think that we have many different inspirations, but unfortunately life is always the biggest one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so hearty congratulations to all of you for your film being not only being honored at the IFFI but also being honored as the Midfest film. Hearty welcome to India also to all of you. I would like to begin by asking what do you mean exactly by a psychological thriller? Because what is a thriller which is not psychological?
Yeah. So a psychological thriller, the way that I see it is it's because it's through our character's perspective. And so it's really diving into their brain of how everything happened. And so when we get to the midpoint and different twists, it really revolves around their psyche and what they're going through as a protagonist.
I think what he's asking is like every thriller
Yeah.
is
Every thriller,
a
why is this one
psychological.
Yeah.
So why you specifically named it
Why
as
we
psyche?
named this one
Yeah.
psychological thriller.
Well, I mean, in
yeah.
other words, can there be thrillers which are not psychological?
That's a great question.
I think probably, but it would be like more in an action category. I would feel, like if you're watching something like, I don't know, what's a really good thriller, something that would just kind of lean more into the action. Then in this one, I would say this leans more into, I would call it psychological drama.
Yeah.
In many ways.
We have erotic thrillers too, and erotic
Yeah.
thrillers are very different from psychological thrillers. So
Yeah.
it's what is the crux? In an erotic thriller, it's about the relationship, and a psychological thriller, it's about the psyche.
Yeah, I also think that with most thrillers, it's all based around who's telling the lie. And so with psychological thrillers, it's so much about the lie being within yourself.
Yeah.
Whereas something like an erotic thriller or just something that is more just a standard thriller, so to speak, it's you're being lied to by someone else. Whereas on psychological thriller, I think that you could be the one lying to yourself.
Yeah, like in a noir, it's the femme fatale instead of the main protagonist.
Exactly.
necessarily.
So there's
Yeah.
untrusted elements, but within a psychological thriller, what's untrusted is yourself.
Okay, so just drawing from that, what do you think is the more difficult proposition? To be honest with oneself or to be honest with others? Or in other words, to not lie to others or to not lie to oneself? Or are the two the same?
I would ask.
How does one know when one is lying to oneself?
Yeah, that is a great question.
Because we might
Yeah.
be lying to, we tell many lies to ourselves which we are not aware of.
Yeah.
Right?
I would ask the question, do you believe in objective reality? Because if you do believe in objective reality, basically, is reality just, are there rules to how the world works, or is it what we think it is? And so if what we say is truth, then that's how the world works. But if it's not, then there isn't. So I know that's kind of a convoluted answer, but I think with that, do you guys have it? Would you trust yourself more? I think it depends on what you think the truth is. Right?
Yeah, I think it's much easier to. Well, actually, hold on. So I think lying to yourself is something that you do on a daily basis, most likely. Hopefully, you're not lying to others on a daily basis, but I'm sure you do lie to yourself every single day, all day. You look in the mirror and say, "I look good." You know, you do something and you pretend like you are, you know, kind of achieving more than you are, or whatever the case may be. But I think as long as you can be truthful at the end of the day with yourself and saying, "Okay, hold on. Maybe I didn't push myself hard enough. Maybe I did lie to myself and I didn't actually get out of bed and go to the gym," or whatever the case may be. I don't even know what I'm saying, but you asked really hard questions, sir. Can you please leave?
I will lie to that answer and say no.
Okay, good. Okay. Say it again?
I want to see the clipping, so I just need your address, that's all.
Okay. Social security number 2, or what are we talking?
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Just clipping.
Okay,
I
good.
think one more thing to add on that too is if you know what the truth is at the end of the day and you're able to trust yourself, that's what really matters. So even what other people are telling you, you have to know what the truth is and
Yeah.
trust yourself.
You have to trust yourself even when you don't know what the truth is, right?
But if in deep down you know what it is, then you should, because other people will try to change that for you.
Yeah, and I think that also with this film, what it's examining is how your body can learn certain language or have your memories stored in different parts of your body and your mind. And so for Dora, she's repressed a lot of her trauma, and she's bringing that back over the course of the film. And so I think that there's, even though she might not know exactly how to paint you a picture of what she's remembering, there are certain parts of herself that are holding on to certain memories, and you need to validate those and then try to find the bigger truth from around that. So it's starting with what you do know, and hopefully bringing in trusted people who have shown that they aren't trying to manipulate you, much like our film, and supporting those.
Has she worked in other Hollywood films?
Oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maddie's fantastic.
Yeah.
I should cast her.
Maddie was in Malignant.
Yeah,
Malignant.
Yeah, James Wan, big, huge, was it Warner Brothers, I think? It was
think so,
like
yeah.
huge, massive Warner Brothers film. But she also today, actually, her Machine Gun Kelly, a big rapper in America, has a movie that comes out, I think, today.
Called Taurus.
Taurus, yeah. And she's the lead in that. And she has a new Netflix series that comes out, I think, next week. And then Genesis Rodriguez, Dr. Melanie, she's got Umbrella Academy on Netflix, which is really, really successful. And then Atticus Mitchell, he's on a series called
Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys on Hulu in the States. So it's a really great cast. And Stephen McHattie, he's a Canadian legend. He's been around for 165 years. Kidding. But he's been around forever, ever. And he's been in every major film that's come through Canada. If you look him up, he's got, I think, 250 IMDb credits or something. It's insane. He's great, though.
It's amazing.
We'll finish it off with one more last question.
Why should we finish it?
No, I think we're running time.
If you don't
So,
have...
yes, sir. Please continue. Yeah.
Yeah, so I am reminded of this. I'm unable to recollect. I think it's a book by David Eagleman. Book The Dash Brain. The middle part I'm not able to recollect now, which talks about the mechanism of the brain. And one of the central points which he makes in that book is that much more of our behavior is beyond our conscious control than what we think it is.
Yes.
It is based upon the chemical reactions and mechanisms happening inside the brain, inside the mysterious brain. So basically, I think it is directly relevant to the film, because if I end up committing a crime due to a brain disorder, then the question arises, how much am I actually responsible for it? I might have done it out of my, it may not have been possible for me to avoid it based upon my conscious thoughts and actions. So what are your thoughts on this? Basically, the author recommends change in, not just recommends, he says that we need change in our legal jurisprudence, because someone who might have ended up committing a mass shooting In fact, this was recently found also in some of the mass shooting cases when the brain was examined after post-mortem. Some disorder was detected, and the person himself had in fact written a suicide note that please examine my brain. So, what are your thoughts on this subject? I would like to know.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the brain is very complicated, right? And that's why we try to break it down in this movie. And as for Dora, I think it's questioning what were the motives behind it, what was her brain going through at the time, and things being done through self-defense or because someone pushes you to such a place that you're reacting, as that does change things.
So I think we should. So we're closing the table talk session.
Yes,
and
last question.
yeah, with one more.
Last question, please.
Yeah, one more, and we're closing.
Okay, fine. Yeah. So once again, congratulations on having been chosen on your film, having been chosen as the Midfest film. So why do you think your film has been chosen as the Midfest film? I'm not asking why your film has been chosen at IFFI, and why do you think your film has been chosen as the Midfest film, and what, according to you, should be the criteria for deciding the Midfest film? Of any film festival for that matter.
That's a great question.
Wow. Okay, I mean, so Midfest film, from my understanding, is really they wanted something a little bit edgy, very exciting, something with pop, something that kind of had pizzazz. And I think we definitely do have that. It's a film that makes you think, but at the same time, it hits you in the face. So talking to Pratik, the programmer for International here, he fell in love with the movie. I think he fell in love with what the movie's trying to say and the social change it's trying to stir and cause. But at the same time, going back to, this is still a commercial piece that everyone out here can enjoy. You know, you've asked how many questions? You love this movie, obviously. You really enjoyed it. You know,
I believe this is the movie which is going on now. I haven't been inside the screen.
Oh, you haven't seen the movie yet?
No.
Amazing.
Okay, that's hilarious.
Amazing question.
Yeah, very detailed.
Good question.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah.
So, thank you very much, Team Fixation and Director Mercedes for taking part in this table talk session, IFFI, organized by PIB. And all the best for what you're talking, Max. You may get Oscar.
I think we will. Let's leave it with that.
Yeah. Thank you very much. For
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for the support, and please see this movie, sir. It'll change your life.